Welcome to How to Have an Issues Meeting. I'm Sarah Olivieri. I'm a #1 international best-selling author, former executive director, and creator of the Impact Method. You probably know me already if you're here live in some way or another. For those of you watching the replay, or if you found this on YouTube, I am a nonprofit business strategist, and I love helping nonprofits change the way they operate so they can really thrive. And this issues meeting that we're going to be talking about today is actually a tool that we use in the Impact Method, but I wanted to give it to you because this is a really helpful tool to have right now in your toolbox. It's a helpful tool anytime, but whenever there's a lot of change going on, this is a tool that I really lean on a lot. It's called an issues meeting, and it's really straightforward. I have a longer training on this that'll be coming out soon, but I want to give you as much as I can in about 15 minutes so you can put this to use. So let me just hop in here. So I'm wondering if you have experienced some of these issues. Put it in the chat now if you're watching the replay. I'd love to know in the comments. Meetings are a waste of time. Or unsatisfying. Put a yes or a no if that's you, if you've experienced meetings being a waste of time. Maybe your team isn't meeting because meetings got so bad, but now they might be feeling disconnected. If that's you, put a thumbs up or whatever, smoke signals. Meetings that don't help you move forward on your strategy. Maybe you get stuck in kind of, the everyday kind of announcements and things in your meetings, and you never really get to the strategic goals or the hard issues, right? And we're going to talk about how to get to the hard issues. And sometimes you have a few people in your meetings that dominate the agenda. This happens on boards as well. And I've actually modified this meeting to work for boards as well. So you can definitely think about any group of people who are meeting together. And sometimes people are scared to speak up or stand out because they're afraid that their issue, that they have bad information. Yeah, we have one person dominates always. So there's a solution specifically to the domination thing, and I'll make sure to point that out in the training. But if any of these really speak to you, let me know now in the chat, because I'll make sure to touch on them a little bit deeper. That's your bonus for showing up live. So pop them in the chat. So here's the big idea. And I love Margaret J. Wheatley. She wrote Leadership and the New Science, and she writes, in our frenzy to make things happen, to take action, we've devalued thinking and often view it as an impediment to action. And the reason why I'm sharing that quote is the shift, the main paradigm shift you need to make to have amazing meetings is meetings are to be when people come together to think together. Making announcements or just having one person kind of share their ideas without actually thinking together as a group, that's what we want to get rid of. That's what we don't want. That's what causes a lot of the dysfunction we just talked about. And so you'll notice in this meeting that we really want to position our meetings so that we are thinking, right? This probably isn't a picture that would normally cause you to think about meetings. But imagine a whole group of kids coming together all on their radio flyers and having a group sit and think. I think is it Winnie the Pooh who is always saying, I'm going to have a sit and think. So a really great issues meeting is a group sit and think, but it's in a structured way to avoid some of the common pitfalls and bad habits people might bring to meetings. So here it is, that's the meeting, and we're over. So the issues meeting basically has 6 standing agenda items. A segue, sharing of headlines, bringing up other issues, identifying solutions, reviewing the to-do list from the solutions that come out, and rating the meeting. Now I'm going to give you a quick dive in to each of these things. Now, how long should this meeting last overall? It could last an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how big the issues are and how big of an organization you are. But what I want you to know is start by picking one that sounds probably right for you, an hour and a half. And if you picked an hour and it wasn't quite enough, move to an hour and a half. But if you pick an hour and a half, do not go over an hour and a half. If you find you're getting to the end of the hour and a half and there's still more to discuss, add a second meeting during the week. I recommend you have these meetings weekly. Add a second meeting in, do it twice a week until you only need it once a week. But you will find that the more you have these meetings, your list of issues is going to start shrinking pretty fast after you get going. So let's dive into each one of these things. And if you would like a copy of an actual editable agenda, please send me a message and ask for it. Email's probably best, sarah@pivotground.com. Or if you want to schedule a free consultation call, I'll be happy to hook you up with the agenda then. So the segue, this is a 5-minute activity, but is really important because it brings the group together. And you're going to want to make sure that you set the tone for these meetings, that everybody who's at the meeting is there for a reason. They're there to be thinking and engaged. And this is not a time to be checking your phone or trying to multitask, and that we're going to start on time and end on time and people can get back to their other work, but that really bring everybody together, take that moment to establish, to get people to become present. And actually doing a group activity helps people work more effectively together as a group, which is why we take a few minutes to do it. So there are many activities you can do. I just have 3 quick ones to share. I've been talking a lot recently. The pandemic has me having meetings all the time. Excuse me while I sip on my iced tea. So one is simple one, share a high and a low from your week. I like this one because it allows people to kind of come as they are, where they are, and they might have a more positive slant or a more negative slant. It doesn't matter, but it brings people together. Pair up and mirror with your partner. So we can almost do it right now. So if or you can do it as a group, right? If you're on Zoom, this works too. You can I can move around slowly like this. And if you mirror image me, I know I probably look silly because I can't see you, but it doesn't matter. If you mirror image me, our bodies will become in sync. And I love that one for these days where a lot of people are doing Zoom meetings because we're missing that physical presence, but we can use that activity to bring our bodies in sync, even though we're all remote. You could take a group moment of silence. You can do group meetings, group moment of silence, group breathing. And one thing I just say, for right now where, people's anxiety are high, tension is high, is if you're going to be facilitating this meeting, go in with 2 potential segues and take a quick sense as everybody comes in. Does the group need to be upregulated or downregulated? Do they have a lot of anxiety and they need to get that out there? Say, I'm feeling terrible, so they can move on. That would be like downregulated. Or are they just kind of low because it's going on and on and on? You need to like boost up their energy a little bit and get them excited. So think about that as you go into the meeting, especially while we're in the middle of the COVID pandemic. Move slides. Headlines. Headlines are not announcements. If you have a better word for headlines, let me know. I'm always looking for a better word that captures this. But headlines are really about sharing key data. And this could be good news or bad news, but it's news of some sort. And it can be qualitative or quantitative, meaning it can come out like a story. Like, we had an amazing moment with one of the clients who, really succeeded this week. Or it could be another way that qualitative information comes is it could be a gut feeling. This doesn't feel right. I think we need to make a change. I'm not sure what's going on. Or it could be quantitative data like, hey, our open rates in our email dropped, or our, if you survey people, satisfaction went significantly up or down. And this whole thing about headlines is it's designed to bring out issues. So there's an issues list, and when the issues come up during this time, you're not going to discuss them. That's one of the hardest things to learn, is to interrupt your fellow people or interrupt yourself. If you start going into something, you've hit on an important issue, you're going to add it to that issues list. But my warning for you here is that this part of the meeting is designed to bring up your vulnerabilities. So issues are going to surface, and that's important for you to get comfortable with addressing. This is a quick quote from Brené Brown. She is a master on vulnerability. I don't have time to go into vulnerability and the issues meeting, except that I will say that the issues meeting is about addressing vulnerabilities. And by doing it regularly, you will get comfortable. You will actually create a culture where vulnerability is normal, and that will have ripple effect benefits for your organization, not just for having a better meeting. So once you've had your headlines, a number of issues probably will have come out, but you want to just check in. Are there any other issues that people want to add to the issues list? And sometimes people ask, what should I share? When in doubt, share it. But definitely, if there's anything that you're at all stuck on and that involves other people or affects other people, great issue to bring up. There's no bad issue. Also, we'll be talking about at the end of the meeting, you'll have generated a list of to-dos. This would be a great time if somebody was not able to complete their to-do and there is an issue that's the result of why they haven't completed it, they should bring that up. If it's that they were out for a couple days unexpectedly and they don't anticipate any problem catching up, you don't have to worry about that. But basically, if an issue is left, if a solution is left undone, that's probably an issue. And then finally, the bulk of the meeting. So that whole first part of the meeting maybe is going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. And the rest of your meeting is about identifying solutions. And there's two, I've broken this into two slides, but there's kind of two parts. First, you want to look at your list of issues that you've created, and people can add to the issues list between meetings. That's not a big deal if you're able to share the folder or the file of where the agenda is. And you're going to choose as a group what is the most high priority issue on the list, and you're going to start working on that issue and that issue only. So you're going to get clear on what the core issue is. Ask, why is this an issue? Ask that 5 times if you need to. Why is this happening? Go deep, find the core issue. Beware, sometimes you may realize that there's actually a couple issues mushed together. So pull them apart as they tend to reveal themselves, and then reprioritize. Which of those issues is the real one that you need to be focusing on now? Which is the real priority? Once you have gotten clear about the core of the issue, you want to discuss possible solutions. You don't need a perfect solution. You just need one that's good and that can actually be done now. And then you're going to delegate, or someone's going to volunteer to take on accountability for making sure the solution gets implemented. So they might have to deliver information to other people in your organization. They'll probably be doing some delegating, and they're the ones that's going to make sure that the solution gets implemented. And you'll add that plan for the solution to the to-do list with the person's name. Speaking of the to-do list, this is where the meeting wraps up. And again, this is about 5 minutes, maybe even 2 minutes total wrapping up. So, probably 40 to 45 minutes or a full hour or more if you're doing an hour-and-a-half meeting is going to be dedicated to solutions. And if you only create one solution, that's okay. If you don't get through a single solution, add that second meeting in, or if you're at an hour, move to an hour and a half. But just solving one issue a week will actually have exponential results for you. So if it's only one, that's fine. Review your to-do list so everybody's clear on what they're accountable for, and take a moment to rate the meeting. I like to use a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being the worst, 4 being the best, because there's intentionally no middle, and I like to push people to be on one side or another. You can have everybody just call out their number or go around the room. This is for your internal knowledge to know how your meetings are going. It's not, no one's being judged on this, so people can speak freely, and it's give you a chance to get a sense of, you know, if there was something that wasn't working. And usually when I've seen lower numbers come out, it's because you didn't really stick to only talking about the priority issue, and you let yourself get into really talking about an issue before the issues have been prioritized. So if you do this meeting, you will have 2 things for sure. You're going to have meetings that you love. Again and again, these meetings, they come out at a 4, 4, 4. And you're going to have your issues resolved. What more could you ask for? But you're actually going to get more if you do them regularly. You're going to, and actually let me just pause 1 second, because I'm out of the corner of my eye, I'm reminded I said I would dig into one person dominating, right? The thing that's going to help fix the one person dominating is this prioritizing, right? That dominating person tends to want to talk about their issue. But if you make sure that everybody weighs in on which is the most important issue, you will be making sure that, you know, unless the dominating person's issue is the most high priority, in which case it should get addressed, and then they won't have to be the dominating person next time. But that's really going to change the focus. And a few other simple steps would be, you know, making sure somebody is moderating the meeting, and checking in and asking people to speak up if they look like they have something to say. So that being said, there will be ripple effects. I'm not going to go into these deeply, but I can tell you, you will normalize vulnerability. You will increase your productivity. Less issues means less friction. You're going to have a tool to make meaningful change. You will shift from a reactive mode. Your initial meetings, you'll probably be in reactive mode, to a proactive mode, because you'll be able to address issues before they get really serious. This is huge for promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you're going to leverage more brains as leaders. Okay, so I'm going to take questions in just a moment for those people who are live. If you're watching the recording, you need to join live if you want your questions answered. But if this sounds really interesting to you and you'd like to learn more about what's in all of the impact method, you can visit pivotground.com, or you can even schedule a free consultation with me.